I am so excited to meet with Dave Littman. Here we come. Here he comes. Good morning. Here's a virtual hug. Yay, Dave. Thank you so much for meeting this morning. I am so excited that I can hardly contain myself.
You may have some misplaced excitement there, but that's
Well,
okay.
yeah, I am excited for you because when I got to see you recently at the convention, I think it was the HF, the Health and Fitness Association convention, I really had the privilege to get to see you because you had shared with me then that you were looking at retiring soon. And then I think that actually has occurred.
You're looking at a retired person.
Oh my gosh. Congratulations.
Thanks.
You worked so hard for that.
Well, um, certainly there were challenging periods and times, but it was really fun. I mean, for the 27 years I was with Balanced Body,
Yes.
we were pretty much in growth mode all the time.
Yes.
There were certainly some, periods that where it wasn't, but working in a business in a industry that's in growth is a lot more fun than one that's in decline.
Yes.
And
That is true.
and so that and then working with Ken, um, and he's the consistent, the rudder of the ship, the
Yes.
captain of the ship that kept us going in the right direction. Always had a clear vision of where we wanted to be. And I think in some ways, he saw the future. I don't think any of us could have predicted where we are right now, but
Yes.
but he knew that Pilates was good for everyone, and we just had to tell him about that.
Yes. You guys were an absolute power, duo. You were like a duo, and the engine that you guys created with that vision and that future sight being prescient like this, you guys really got on the track and you made something happen. I'm so happy because I was there and I got to experience it. And you ignited, Balanced Body and you and Ken like ignited a career path for Pilates teachers. So
Well,
I,
I appreciate the accolade, but I was just I, I just grabbed a surfboard when the wave came up and
oh,
tried,
nice.
tried to stay in front of it. But
Yeah.
I think first of all, when I got started with Pilates or first heard about Pilates, it was so out there
Yeah.
that, and that kind of matched up with my previous business and life experiences, sort of glomming onto something that wasn't quite mainstream.
Yes.
And at least I don't know if I did it on purpose, but that's just sort of the way it worked out. And it was kind of fun. I remember going to conferences, fitness. I came out of the fitness and rehab world, and buddies of mine going, "What is that stuff? What are you talking about?"
I'm talking about absolutely. This is the Pilates entrepreneurial vision. It's the boutique fitness world. It is now eternal. There is a global impact and legacy of the Balanced Body Pilates Allegro One Reformer program, which originated and launched, I believe, was that in the year 2000?
99, 1999.
99. Okay, good. Because I had been writing about it kind of, I was definitely seeing the vision in my psyche. I was really seeing it and feeling it. And so this is a podcast that I'm featuring you, Dave Littman, and it's brought to you by Janette Jones, Pilates Reformer Club Studio. It's been a roller coaster ride for the boutique fitness economy, privately owned studios post-pandemic. So I've been working on regaining my footing in the industry as a professional teacher, and that's been a big, big challenge. But here I sit in a studio that I'm now the manager of. I don't have to own it, but I'm a manager of it. And it's the privately owned boutique fitness studio amidst 4 mega franchises that are here in El Dorado Hills. So
Beautiful
I'm
studio, by the way. Great
say,
looking studio.
isn't it a nice looking studio?
Yeah.
I'll move off to the side a little bit.
Oh, the lights terrific. Really nice.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
It's got the zen, it's got the energy. And then I'm sitting kind of in this archway right now. And then the inside is the private studio and kind of my office. So I get to do my private practice here and studies and all of that good stuff. But I don't have,
Those are Allegro 2s behind you?
these are Allegro 2s.
And
And
what's the lighting? Is it sconces on the wall?
so the lighting is a little bit of a mystery. I have these pin lights that go all the way down the ballet bars, but you can't actually see the lights. So and it's also just really, I think, good. I have some lighting in the front and a little bit of light coming from inside. And then I actually also have in here just some lights, kind of facing this direction,
What
trying to
direction is the front of the store? Is that what
that
when you point that way toward the front door, what direction is that?
west.
Nice.
So El Dorado Hills, Balanced Body is about 25 miles away, and I made a recent destination there to pick up. So this studio is Balanced Body branded, and I made sure of that. By picking up the rollers and the rings and all of the balls and just making sure that I talk about Balanced Body. And, I want to make sure that I'm bringing the tradition of the Allegro Reformer program to the community. Because to me, that's what I've been steeped in for myself for about 30 years teaching Pilates. So let's see what we know to be true in 1999 and 2000 remains now in 2025 and into the great beyond. It's not only Pilates equipment and exercise teachings, but it is also an exponential business model that has radically changed the way every boutique fitness vertical business operates globally. And I say that because I've been studying this business model that I was kind of there, and here it is. We have the Pilates Allegro Club program, and I know that I'm showing you what you already know.
Oh, look at that logo. That's the early aughts.
This is probably the first hot off the press catalog that you guys gave to us at the end of the rehabilitation course through Polestar Education. So we were finishing up the Polestar Education, and as we were finishing that up right around May, June, July of 1999, you guys handed out to the teachers this amazing program, and that is exactly what ignited me. I just was like, I have to move. I have to leave Oregon. I'm coming to California. I am literally gonna teach on this Allegro program. So, I mean, you guys really lit the fire for Pilates teachers. So I want to make sure.
That's a great piece. Is that something in your own archives?
Yes, I keep everything.
That's great.
I
That's
have,
great.
I have archives and this piece because see, I am a Pilates teacher, but my mind works in numbers as well. In order to run my own boutique studio, I needed to understand the numbers. And you guys also had the Allegro return on investment. Um,
Amazing.
yes, this is it. This
Ah,
is it. I mean,
I love it.
you guys did this, Like
Yeah.
I want to
Oh,
make sure.
is that Elizabeth? And I think
Yes.
that's Dav Cohn.
Yes, the Allegro professional price list.
I remember
And
that. I remember the photo shoot.
yes, And it had everything, and there was an Allegro return on investment, which, has to do with what the studios need to buy for the club industry
Yeah.
to be able to take on, to really bring it into through the club industry. And I was amazed because here, this is where you guys brought in there's Elizabeth doing the education Pilates, but it's these 10 stacked reformers were being shipped off to the club industry. And that was your business model. And I just really have been always so curious. And I think I was like, I just want to talk to Dave. I want to know more about who masterminded this business model with you guys there at Balance Body. I know you guys worked beautifully together.
Well, it's coincidence. Last week I traveled to Sacramento. I live in Reno
Oh, yeah.
for my retirement party.
Oh, wonderful.
And at some point, and it was great. It was old timers. When I see those brochures, I think about Wendy Heaton and Lynn Johnson, who were the real pioneers in the marketing side of this.
Ah,
Um, uh, and the hard work, the vision that they had, and the hard work that they did to put those things together. Um, Wendy in particular, who named the Allegro. Do you know Wendy Heaton? Have you ever met
I
her?
don't know Wendy, and I'm so amazed that she named the Allegro because it's so good for me to know this because I probably associate it with Elizabeth Larkham because my teaching was through Polestar and through Pilates and beyond. So I wouldn't have known. So tell me more about Wendy and how she named the Allegro.
Well, so uh, group programming, um, as it exists now, really grew out of the indoor cycling phenom in the
Yes.
early 90s.
Yeah.
It was because of indoor cycling, the success of that the Allegro really bounced off of that. Um, I had a background in developing equipment in the rehab and fitness industry, but really wasn't a fitness guy. But Ken thought I was, and that's sort of how it got started with me. Um, uh, he knew that there was an opportunity for a portable modular reformer, and he worked on that through the late 90s. Um, and that was at the exact same time that he was duking it out with the the Pilates trademark lawsuit.
Yes. I have a little bit of that left over, not left over, but that I keep. This was, and I meant to take that cover off. Way to go, Joe.
Oh, that was great.
And this was released in these large fitness industry magazines, the CBI.
What's the date on that?
The date on that is January 2001.
Yeah.
But the actual letter that you guys sent out to us professionals at the time, which was amazing, was October 31st, 2000.
Yep.
We are elated to announce the Pilates community's victory over Sean Gallagher and the Pilates Incorporated on October 19th, 2000. United States District Judge ruled that Pilates is generic. She directed the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office to cancel Pilates Incorporate's registrations for the Pilates on and on. So I kept those because like I was climbing the ladder in my becoming a teacher. I was hot to get trained on everything I could. And Polestar Pilates was through Elizabeth and through Brent were distributing education as quickly as they could. We were starving for knowledge. They were feeding us with knowledge. And and then right here at the September, oh wait, sorry. Oh yeah, September 22nd through the 24th, the year 2000 was the first Allegro One teacher training course. So, I mean, you guys were working really hard. And I mean, I'm somebody who's a quiet observer, but I was observing everything and I was just taking it in. And you could feel that it was a time capsule. You could feel that that was something that was going to become. And all that energy of what is going to become is like now what we're living. Um, so I mean, I'm
Yeah, no,
still
you've got some great pieces there. It's a march down memory lane.
good.
What was happening during the 90s was that first there was a lid on the Pilates world because of this trademark situation. So it was before the internet and such. If Gallagher and his group, um, which was being financed, by the way, by selling cheap reformers made in China, but that's a whole nother story. Um, he had a law firm that would watch the yellow pages. Remember the yellow pages?
Yes, I remember the yellow pages.
And if anywhere in the US, I think anywhere in the world, but mostly focused on the US, if you use the word Pilates, you get a really intimidating letter from his law firm. And most people either closed up or changed their name. You'd have to use couldn't use it in an actual business name, but you could have it as a subtitle of based on the work of Joseph Pilates. But that kept a damper on things. In the meantime, there was a lot of public media attention. People magazine and such talking about celebrities and movie stars who were using Pilates to look good. Um, Julia Roberts and Madonna and people like that were in the news. And this spinning thing, this indoor cycling thing had shifted in the fitness market, had put valuable equipment in group exercise environments. Prior to that, group exercise was step or empty room and music. You went to an idea conference, I'm sure, in the early 90s, and all they were selling were shoes and music.
Yes.
But spinning, indoor cycling, put equipment in those rooms and required a different level of training and empowered the group fitness managers who all of a sudden had budgets and had maintenance issues and had men coming in. So that was sort of a foundational aspect. And uh, and then Kenny coming up with this idea of a fitness oriented or group programming oriented reformer, and Brent and Elizabeth coming up with a modular education program prior to Polestar's pioneering work on the uh, Allegro Allegro education program. You know, you had to do that internship. You had to go to Boulder or Toronto or someplace and live for 6 months and do indentured servitude to become a Pilates teacher.
Yes.
So all those things came together, and it was one of these tipping points when that lawsuit kicked over, and Kenny won that. All these other things happened, and all of a sudden there was a lot of attention about Pilates, and that was the time that Kenny called. They actually called me from the IDEA convention in 1999. I had known Ken for a number of years, just through mutual friends. I was involved with the development of an agility testing machine, which at the time was just about as far out there as Pilates was.
Okay.
So we had a shared isolation or orbit
Yes.
from the regular fitness world. And he was overwhelmed. He and Wendy Heaton, his marketing advisor at the time, became a marketing director. We're standing at a small booth at the IDEA convention with a crowd 10 deep, begging for information about this reformer. And within a very short period of time, he brought me on board, and my role was focused on the Allegro, but quickly realized that there was growth everywhere in the industry, in the traditional Pilates market, which had always been very boutique and very feng shui. that was expanding quickly. The fitness industry was suddenly interested. All my friends from the fitness industry were calling up and asking me, what is this Pilates thing? Tell me about
Yeah.
that. And
Pilate.
then rehab. And of course, Polestar was pioneering in that area. Brent had a clear vision that Pilates was should be involved with contemporary modern rehabilitation, and he fought that and pioneered that, um, and was kind enough and smart enough to put together this modular education system I was talking about.
Yes.
And then consumer. So finally, consumers could get material and machines that they could put in their home. So those are the four markets: studio, fitness, rehab, and consumer. And they were all exploding
They were exploding.
with interest. So again, we worked hard, but it was a lot of the work was just trying to keep up with demand.
Trying to keep up with demand.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a hot off the press item, and it was palpable, and our whole psyches as teachers, we were like horses at the gate. It was like, we're ready. Like, give us this machine. I can show you, I was obsessing as I do. I decided obsession is okay as long as you put it on something really healthy. Then you can obsess all you want. So I was obsessing, and I had done my own little Pilates Allegro with a little cutout. And these were going to be, this was my little company in Oregon called Nice Moves. And I was saying, I was using your marketing material, but I wanted to deliver it to people at home. And I envisioned myself driving, from Oregon to California with these stacked up in a trailer, and I wanted to distribute them. Like, I was just in it, I was just feeling it. And that was more for my own purposes. Like, that's kind of what I noticed. In October 2nd, 2000, because I was working as a private Pilates, I had my own private studio, and I understood through the training that I had taken, I understood that Pilates studios were bursting at the seams. So I had written something, what can we do for the population of people who are eager to try and buy the latest and greatest exercise fashion, when there's no room for them in the Pilates studios? Because this is when there was this heaving, and we were carrying Pilates boutique studio owners were carrying Pilates on our own backs. We were carrying it, and we were like financing it with our own hard work.
You were
Uh,
a real visionary in that, because a lot of the resistance that we had, and we had resistance from everywhere, but a lot of the resistance came from traditionally trained Pilates people
yes.
who, they were convinced, not everyone, but they were convinced that whatever the Pilates that they were doing was the Pilates. That was it. And therefore, just about anybody else clinging to a branch of that central tree was wrong. It was my branch and only my branch. So, although there was certainly plenty of people that really embraced this,
Mhm.
there was resistance, and resistance everywhere. There was resistance from the rehab community. There was resistance in fitness. One of our biggest challenges that we had was when we went into fitness, they couldn't figure out how you would charge for somebody walking into a group fitness room.
Okay.
Just the mechanics of that was mystifying.
Yes. Would you like to know how we did it?
Yeah, sure.
I have that somewhere in this pile. So I had the great fortune of getting to work at Western Athletic Clubs with Elizabeth Larkham, and it was the most incredible time of my life. And I actually do have it in here somewhere. I won't dig too much longer if I can't find it. But basically, it was just a piece of paper, an invoice, and you have your number of reformers. So whether you have 8 or you have 10, depends on what the club would have bought. We had an invoice, and we would write the date, the member's name, the member's number, because everyone would know their number. And then, people were buying these packs. So this would have been um, like one of our flyers, the Pilates Allegro Reformer Classes program. And this is your business model. This is what my job was, is to run your business model. The group conditioning class will guide you through 55-minute modular progression of Pilates exercise, movement, and form. It goes on. And then the Allegro class has 4 to 8 participants. And minimum participation is twice per week for a 4-week term, 8 classes, $200. So it was so interesting.
That is interesting. I mean, although the pricing is slightly different today, that's the group model that has exploded, is right there.
That's your model. That's what I'm like, Dave, I got to talk to you.
No, it's great. It's interesting that I mean, that's 25 years old.
That's 25 years old. And we would have many classes, I mean, I didn't bring any of that, but these are the types of things. And so it was done manually to finish the cost per member per month. So this was an amount that was in addition to their club dues. So it was a high-end athletic club. They had member dues anywhere between, let's just say, $149 a month. On top of that, we were running a profit center that was the members were paying $200 in addition to their monthly membership dues. So it was this amazing profit center, and it was a proof of concept. It was that opportunity to really get in there and say, we're here. Is this going to work? And
Sorry.
it absolutely worked. And what we had to do is manually, I had to sit at the computer and install it into the computer, and then this huge long receipt would come for the group, for the accounting office. So I'd have to hand that over and say all those charges have been processed. So that was really fun for me.
Well, you were literally on the cutting edge. Western Athletic Clubs was one of the clubs that embraced this and did it the right way. There were, we could look at what you were doing as our model, as what we would tell other people about. First, finding people who would really understand and champion the Pilates. That was number one. You could have the nicest room and the best equipment and the best lighting and all the best pricing. If you didn't have somebody like you, it wouldn't work. And Western Athletic Club understood that. And then they put these gorgeous rooms. Every one of those studios was beautiful.
Just beautiful.
They loaded them up with reformers, and they did internal club training. You reached out to other people in other employees, other team members, and you could walk up to this was my thing. I'd walk into a club and I'd go to the reception desk and I'd go, "What is that Pilates thing?" And depending on their response at the reception desk, I would know whether or not that program had a future or not.
Okay.
And in WAC clubs, it was great. They'd say, "Yeah, I tried it. They gave me a free class. It made me feel good." So you need to take a lot of credit for being a hotspot and a place that we could use, hold up to others as showing what a successful program could be.
Yeah, it did really well. I was really fortunate. I was at the Pacific Athletic Club in Redwood City, and at first we had floor. Did I keep? Oh, good. I kept it. Okay. This was our mezzanine, and you're going to see me hanging upside down, but we had a mezzanine with Allegros on it, an open, long, basically fire exit. And that's where people were stretching. And I said, when I got there and I was being hired, I'm like, "Where are the Allegros? Where are they?" And they're like, "Oh, they're down in facility. Get them out of facility. They're getting dusty. Get them out."
Get them visible. That was, and I think even Western Athletic Club, did some of the clubs also put a reformer in the fitness area just for personal training, or was that done later?
That was probably done quite a bit later,
Yeah.
when it started getting a little bit distilled, but this was that mezzanine workout. And then this was prior to them actually building out a studio. But I had to prove it. I had to prove that it was a viable business model. And it was, I mean, I was teaching my bliss. And the program was making increasing revenues to the power of, I didn't realize it could make that much, but I was trying as hard as I could, with the other teachers and professionals, and led by Elizabeth Larkham, because without Elizabeth's leadership, also, we wouldn't have had anyone to follow. So she had done the Pilates and Beyond, and that Pilates and Beyond was the brand for Western athletic clubs.
Yep.
And then from there, this is how you guys were marketing these beautiful performance, Allegros doing performance style Pilates. You guys were releasing your catalogs. And to me, that's just artwork. I mean, that's just beautiful artwork.
So that is all Wendy Heaton. And
Okay.
you might want to talk to her.
I would love to talk to her. I'm gonna give her
She's great. She just pushed it. Ken was brilliant on
yes.
concept and manufacturing and relationships and stuff. But it was Wendy who had the marketing vision and drove those pieces and created the tools that we needed in sales. And by we, that was a pretty small little group of people. But I had sketched out an ROI on a piece of scrap paper, and all of a sudden that became, a foundational part of the piece. And that was explaining that
Yes.
to club managers and the
Yes.
people who wrote the checks was difficult because that was a new model.
Yes.
In indoor cycling, there were early attempts to monetize it, and it didn't work because the club down the street put it in for free and they had to compete. So the clubs like yours who saw the value in the investment in the equipment, which was high, and the investment and commitment to education, which was different from anything in the fitness world.
Yes.
You were the ones that really provided the foundation for the financial model. And ultimately, with all the benefits you get from Pilates, it's a business. And you were the ones that helped maintain that. Because it would have been real easy to just say it's for free or not even do it because of the investment.
Yes. Yes, in that culture between the people who are trying to oppose it, which I've got energy from people opposing it. I go, really? Because it's actually already happening and we're doing it. So there's so much for that. And then on the other part of that is delivering it to the people, knowing that it had value, intrinsic, because the way you guys transferred the private studio and you transferred it into fitness industry and you transferred it into group exercise, that was a maneuver. And I watched it and I was like, that was brilliant. Now there's group reformer, which is the universal piece of Pilates that disperses it across. Everybody can get on a reformer and now actually get the results that it promises. But that didn't come free for any of the teachers. We have $0 in our life and we're investing heavily so we can become teachers. And then the equipment has costs, real costs. And combined, there has to be an ROI. And so that's why I would study your ROI. And I'd be like, make sure, Janette, you do this because it's my job as the coordinator at that location to deliver this product and this service to the management. And for a while, they wanted to kind of convince me that it was going to happen their way. And I was like, no, it's going to happen the way Balanced Body and Polestar Education and Pilates, Elizabeth, you guys just have to know there's an industry that is unique. And that's why you guys have called it a profit center. And then that profit center became a bubble inside of the fitness industry. And then that grew to become so attractive that it became public domain. Now that business, and I know it was going out to the public anyway, but the business, the club model became Pilates club, studio. And So yeah, it's fascinating. And now it's kind of going full circle where they're charging across every fitness vertical. So now they are monetizing cycling. They are monetizing, rowing. They are monetizing red light therapy. They are monetizing anything you can monetize. Joint chiropractic it's the same business model. So I wanted to make sure that I had this moment to visit with you because I just was so curious about how you guys mastermind that business model.
I'm not sure how much masterminding it was, but it was, we used our common sense and we were trying, we listened to our customers. And, what happened was as Western athletic clubs and Bally's and other visionary clubs, usually driven by some passionate person within the organization that said Pilates is cool.
Yeah.
They started putting in small group fit, and group at that time was five.
Okay.
Anything more than five was like really unusual. But
Yeah.
it was the crossover. It was the people who came from fitness education where you had a number of people
Yeah.
in a room doing something directed by someone.
Yes.
Those people, those were the real pioneers in this trend. They started stepping into the studio model. And we had there were headwinds all the way along the way. I mean, the fitness industry, for a whole wide range of reasons, wasn't quick to embrace it. There were visionaries and pioneers in that. But in the studio market, there was a lot of pushback of group. You can't do group, can't do more than two, can't do more than three. Moira Stott wrote an article that appeared in a fitness magazine that said balanced body and group performer, maybe just group performer, implying balanced body, was going to ruin the integrity of Pilates.
And now look.
Yeah, and I just cheered because I knew that meant would be at least another couple of years before they came around to realizing what was happening. So
Yes.
we were just filling a need
Yes.
and doing as much as we could to take care of the market as it expanded.
Absolutely. And having the bliss of working side by side with Elizabeth Larkham is her pursuit of excellence in Pilates exercises so that it were structurally sound, that it started from rehabilitation. It was full comprehensive. And we needed to learn the mechanics of how the body worked with the reformer. And it just was such a beautiful marriage of, it was a symphony. And
And
so,
we were fortunate in many, many ways to have this relationship with the Polestar pioneers, Kenny and Elizabeth and Brent, who really saw that the old model of education worked for some people, but especially as new fitness instructors, people with a fitness background came into this, they weren't going to accept, a 2 year, 5,000 hour, $5,000 program. They needed something else. And the original program that Polestar developed was really designed to be kind of an appetizer. Every master instructor who was going out there was trained to provide the basics for a safe and effective and fun group class, but they were also shining the light on how much more there was to this. And the initial Polestar Allegro, the initial balanced body Allegro rollout in partnership with Polestar, we might have trained 1 to 2,000 people in that. And those are the people who are, for the most part, still in the industry. Maybe not all of them, but a number of them, and they credit that program as what brought them in. And those are the people who really became the springboard for really pushing group reformer. And I remember when someone would come and say, I want to buy 10 Allegros, and I'm like, nobody's ever done that before.
okay.
But it was cool. It was really good. And so my gratitude and my success really came as a result of passionate people like you who understood how to make a program work and
Yeah.
stuck with it.
Yeah, really sticking with it because of that mysterious passion and that whole notion of carrying the torch and, of Pilates and, it is something that it ignites you into wanting to become a professional. And then now it's igniting the entire world because everyone gets to experience that passion in this, how Pilates is now famous. And it is social media is just carrying it to where I can be anywhere. I can be getting my nails done. I can be at the grocery store. I can be, at a retail store, and I hear people saying, "Oh, I tried Pilates over here, and then I tried it over here too. Well, I was thinking about getting a membership here, but what do you think?" I mean, it's everywhere. And
And how crazy is that? 25 years ago, you
I
went out to dinner with five people and said, and they asked you what you did, and you said, I'm a Pilates teacher.
yeah,
Like two people might have known what was going on, and the rest
yeah,
were like mystified. They thought you were talking about another language.
yeah.
You can get on any bus today and bang on a glass and say, how many people stand up if you've ever heard of Pilates? Everybody would stand up. They may not understand what it's all about, but at least they know how to pronounce the name
They know how to pronounce the name, yes.
and they know it's exercise and that anyone can do it.
And that anyone can. I mean, I am so lucky and fortunate. I have clients who started with me when they were 60 years old. They're now 80 and they're doing Pilates. They're doing everything we did except for some of the higher performance things. I was going to show this 2003. I know you guys have this at Balanced Body as well, but this was the club industry dedicated Pilates. There's Elizabeth, Pat Del Fonte, there's me, Janette Jones. And we were at the San Francisco Bay Club, just like working out our hearts out. We were just getting it in our body. We got to come see you guys at the URSA convention and you let us work out. This was that was me at Balance, or no, sorry, that was me on a Balanced Body Allegro reformer at Western Athletic Club San Francisco. And then these were the performance maneuvers, moves that Elizabeth had created for us to be able to demonstrate the
What
beyond,
a what a
beyond
beautiful space that was.
such a beautiful space.
Yeah.
She had yes, she had the Pilates performance program. And then that allowed me an opportunity to see and experience you guys working hard in the economy of fitness at these conferences. And
Are there website listings or email addresses on the bottoms of those pieces?
um, let's
I
see.
think it predates that.
It might predate that. Everything was paper trail.
Yeah.
Oh, and here is the sports desk point of sale transaction request. So this is how I processed just the most basic, you know,
Have
uh,
you have you shown this stuff to Kenny?
not yet. This is
You gotta you gotta get face to face with him.
I would love to.
And in fact, the best thing would be to do a thing with Wendy,
Okay.
to listen to the two of them talking about those early days. And I just went through this last week at this retirement party
Yes.
where Wendy was there, and she doesn't get enough credit for driving this.
Yes.
Ken's
That,
not Ken's a naturalistic marketing guy, but
yeah.
somebody has to produce those pieces and put the graphics together and be disciplined about the quality and accuracy
Yes.
and completeness of the information. And that is all Wendy. She did it
Yeah.
alone. She didn't have a department. She didn't have a big team. She was the person who did every part of that.
That's incredible. It would be
Mhm.
just amazing. At some point, I would love to reach out and introduce myself and meet her if she's interested. Of course, I would love to see Kenny. I just felt my pursuit. I'm an extreme introvert, by the way. I don't come out much. I've always sought comfort working in a studio, sorry, in the general public. Private lessons taught me how to relate to people. Group classes taught me to relate to more people at the same time. Having my own studio meant I could have my business revolve around me as the primary teacher. I never hired instructors to work. I never employed teachers. So in a way, being an extreme introvert, this coming out is after spending at the closure since 2015, I've been incessantly trying to write a manual, which I completed about a year ago, 2 years ago, but it's a complete, beautiful manual for teachers to learn to journal their way to becoming a solo entrepreneur and to be able to own their own studios since it's become such an employee-based system. So in addition to that, my idea was to keep all of this material with me and get to relive it like a life review while being alive with digital social media because we didn't have digital social media, as you were just saying. And I can't imagine like if we had had it. I think that created a huge step up between. So here's something in regards to um, going from the point of sales where I was going nuts trying to run one of these mass programs with this invoice. And we would meet all together at these mind body online conferences. No, mind body conferences. In you guys were really
Santa Clara.
in Santa Clara. And the Mind Body Company was there working hard. So January 1st, 2003, I bought my first OhmSoft studio management system software for my little computer so I could run the programs, and learn. And they were working hard with their OhmSoft to develop software that would be compatible with these growing. So I'm very much into software. I love software. I would consider myself an automation specialist, but that doesn't matter. It just means I got really good at installing membership programs, making sure that the studio would be profitable. That's my job as a studio owner. Um, but
Do,
yeah,
do, do, do you have any kind of relationship or connection with Nora St. John?
not at this time. Probably
You know,
just
of course, she was the visionary behind the Body Mind Conference,
amazing.
and 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 that's a whole nother story. But she
Yes.
had Turning Point Studio in the East Bay. Contemporarily trained, developed her own program, mostly just as most studios develop their own training programs, just to train their own staff, to recruit and train staff. And it was her idea to get us out of, or at least, yeah, the only way you could see Pilates at a trade show was to go to URSA or to go
Yes.
to Club Industry or go to IDEA. And that was also fitness oriented. She had the idea of this, tying together in a public space the mind body connection. And I remember when she came to us, we were on 13th Avenue in Sacramento in this little set of garages, and she said, we want to do this, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm always a bit of a skeptic, despite my appearance of enthusiasm. But Kenny got behind it, and we were the primary sponsor of that event,
Wow.
and that brought so many people in and provided I mean, it, many steps, but that evolved into the Pilates on Tour conferences. And then, the PMA was developing at the same time and all that
Yes.
kind of stuff. So it's pretty cool. Those are all people who really need to talk to you.
Oh,
Talk to. They're
yeah.
good folks.
They're really good folks. I just figure I myself went out into the world and had to plant myself and I needed to career up. I needed to work. I needed to, once you get through all of the, you have to proof the concept, but you have to keep repeating it year over year. You have to keep driving, your own business and that becomes your livelihood. So, it's like as you're aging, your life changes from being, not only passionate about Pilates, but delivering that to your member base. And that became my role in my community, was just becoming, the teacher for that community. And my aspirations for being a teacher trainer, I had an opportunity to do that for a while. I sent one group through the PMA and they all got certified and we were like, yay. And I was like, well, that's not actually my calling. I mean, I love teacher training, but that's not my calling. My calling is to just keep doing what I'm doing. And I learned so much through studio operations that I started studying and reverse engineering like the things that go wrong in a Pilates studio and how to fix them, and how these remedies so that people don't have money lose that they don't lose all this money, and they get to use their software, you know, their installation to make that happen. That's already happening globally. So mine is just more of the privately owned. There are a lot of teachers who work for these companies they are so scared at the notion of working for themselves. And I want them to know this is how it started. Like we were here doing our own studios before the franchises, before the investors, before the equity partners. We were here already doing it. We carried it. You know, you buy the equipment, you pay for the equipment, you serve your client base, and you do it in the general public, you do it in the public domain, and you don't worry about the big guys. You just do your thing. And
Yeah.
you may not get the same business, but this studio is my passion project. So I'm like, I don't know if I believe it's possible anymore, you know, for the boutique industry to survive. So I'm on a passion project to like try it myself, you know. I don't have to own the studio. It has its own owner. I get to manage it. I get to run the traditional model, and I get to now spend more quality time getting to see people like you. Like when I went to Las Vegas, it's when I started the studio, and I said, there's nothing better than going to a conference, seeing Balanced Body, and just making the rounds. And I got to see you. I got to see Katie. You know, Katie saw me and she goes, "What are you doing here?" I go, I know. Like I just haven't been around. I've been buried in, you know, the teaching. But I just, again, your fortitude, like this 27-year run and as an international, I would love to hear about like your outreach internationally, or how you've contributed to this global expansion, you know, to where we are now.
So when I started with BB, international business was tiny, and I mean the Pilates industry was tiny, but you know, the sales were in population centers for the most part, where there were either original disciples of Joe or people further down the line from that, often in communities, cities where there was a professional dance company or something like that. Houston, LA, San Francisco, New York. And our international business, which was percentage wise low single digit of our business, was really based for the most part on Polestar people around the world. So and these were, they would teach a Polestar course, and their students would say, how do I get equipment? And they'd call us up, and we would ship it over. But it was all very piecemeal. And of course, a studio is not a distribution center.
Hmm. Right.
Studio owners are busy. They're trying to run their own business. They're teaching classes. They have clients. They've got employees to deal with. They have families and social lives and all kinds of other stuff. And they're doing teacher training education to have the ability to finance and logistics and bring stuff in and then get it to people and then have to do service was completely different business. So it was quickly evident as there was increased interest around the world that we needed a different type of distribution model. And I tapped into my relationships from my time in the fitness industry to start bringing these guys in. And it was quickly evident that it took a unique individual, just like the Pilates pioneers, to take on the Pilates world, because there was still tremendous resistance in fitness. Fitness represented a tiny fraction of our business, and it was a big pain in the ass too. They didn't get it, so that took a hard sell. And most of these guys that we dealt with were fitness distributors. They brought in equipment from the United States or from some other place in containers, and they warehoused it. And they had a sales team and a marketing team and a logistics team and a technical support team. And finding the right people to do that kind of stuff essentially became my job. And I tapped into a guy named Chris Skinner in Australia, a guy named Jens Friebel in Germany, and they became sort of the original pieces of the distribution network. And we were resistant. There was tension at Balanced Body around this because we felt that we were the only ones who really understood enough about the Pilates world and the Pilates equipment to sell it. To train somebody else, to put somebody between Kenny and his customers was a huge leap of faith.
Yes.
So we had to find the right people to do that and who could deal with the Pilates people. With all due respect, there were a lot of artists in that world.
Yeah.
And artists can be extremely passionate about what they do, but they may or may not have tremendous business experience. So our distributors, initial team of distributors, would have to deal with some really unusual and passionate people. Everybody had a little thorn in their side, but it grew. And we learned how to do that slowly but surely. We started with one or two people on a very temporary basis. But I remember the first day that we closed the door on our first distributor container. It was a big deal. Like go out on the loading dock and get ready to break a bottle of champagne over this. This was a huge deal to ship a container of Pilates equipment. And at the same time all this was happening, the scale up of a manufacturing business is not easy.
No.
I mean, we were building one or two Allegros a day, and then we're building 10 a day, and then you have to build more and more and more. And that takes not just the skill inside the company and recruiting and training good people and getting the tools and the machinery and the space, but you had to have suppliers. So manufacturing, there's hundreds and hundreds of parts that come from all over the place.
Yes.
And a lot of times we were dealing with little companies in Sacramento that when you tell them you had to triple their order or 10 times increase the order, some could respond to that and others couldn't. So there was a real back of the house struggle.
Yes.
And Wendy Heaton, our marketing director's partner, is a guy named Paul Hughes, and he deserves way more credit than he gets. He was our production manager.
Mm-hmm.
And, to take a production team from 20 people to hundreds of people is an extraordinary part of what we did.
Yes.
And those guys never get enough credit.
Yeah.
The shipping department, which was like one guy part-time, is now 15 people.
Right.
So that part of it is often kind of overlooked. We're out in front of people. We're the ones that get the joy and the privilege and some of the challenge of dealing with what's going on with our customers. But none of that could have happened without an extraordinary team. And Kenny found those people.
Yes.
Ultimately, it keeps coming back around to that to recognize talent and give people the tools that they need to do their job is all based, that's all Ken.
It's all Ken. Your presence, the two of you, your presences together. I mean, you guys are a rock for people, and the fact that you're, in and out, like you're in the company, but you're out in the real world all the time. I mean, I was so happy that I got to see you because I didn't know that you would actually be there. And it was just this bliss of realizing he's just always been there.
Well, that was the fun part. I mean, so many businesses, you don't get a chance to actually hand off the tools that you're building to the people that are going to use them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really fun. And it was you're a great bunch of people.
Yeah.
Healers and teachers are wonderful to hang around with.
Yeah, we try. We try because, we have when the machine turns on, the magic is happening. When you're delivering the message of Pilates to somebody's body and their body is transforming right in front of your eyes, every time you do it, like I will work 8 or 9, sometimes 10 private lessons each day. I know a lot of the teachers will do that. And you start and you go through the beautiful, say, reformer workout. And by the end, they get up and they have their experience and they're like, and I'm like, I know. It's like that every time. It always is a pleasure. So I
Well,
always try to demystify it for the people.
and you highlight another important thing. I don't want to take any more credit than a little teeny bit, but you talked a little bit about how the manufacturing side of this and the marketing side, the distribution side, and stuff like that, and the teacher side. But it ultimately was your ability to transfer your passion into clients who were sticky.
Yeah.
The key to the whole Pilates thing was that it was sticky, and it was sticky because of you. We can make the best equipment in the world or the crappiest equipment in the world. You can have dark space, light space, whatever it might be, whatever price. But ultimately, it was your commitment to keeping those customers, to giving the customers, the clients, what they needed, that they would stick with it. And the turnover, I mean, that was one of the key parts of that ROI that we're talking about,
Yes.
is that you didn't constantly have to recruit. You'd get 10 clients, and a year later, you'd have 9 of them still sticking with you. There's
Yes.
not much in the fitness industry that had that kind of stickiness.
Yeah.
And so your ability to deliver that stuff with the tools, with the training, with all the other stuff still comes down to like that was sort of the core of it all.
Yes. Yeah. There's just this total package. And since I'm now located so close to Balanced Body, and when we took this opportunity for the studio, I made sure to clear anything out that wasn't Balanced Body brand because I talk about it. I want people to know this is not a franchise. And I understand you're coming in through ClassPass. This is the tradition. So you're actually getting what it all came from this, and this is a traditional studio. And that's not the same. That's not the same as classical versus contemporary. This is still beautiful, modern, but like it's the original building blocks that through Polestar, through Pilates, everything we've talked about that has brought Pilates to the world. And most people are just getting on the horse now, starting to ride it, and they're like, "This is great." I'm like, "Do you know anything about Balanced Body?" No. Okay, well, that's cool. So I want to make sure people are informed. I want to make sure the public is informed. I want to make sure teachers are informed. There's a lot of,
Certainly appreciate that. Um, One of the challenges that Balanced Body and the Pilates world faces now is that it is so widespread. As that's expanded, the number of people that really understand, I mean, in the Pilates world 20 years ago,
Mhm.
50 to 80% of the people who were involved with it really understood what it was about. It was really, despite all the competitive natures of it and whatever it might be, it was still kind of a tribe and a family that was all speaking the same language. There might have been different accents,
Mhm.
but as it's expanded, that core group that really understands what this is about is much, much smaller percentage,
Yes.
10%, 20%. And
Yes.
and it's going to be up to those people who hopefully don't age out
Hmm.
and are able to share their point of view with others who will
Yeah.
carry the torch forward. And, you know, there, if you Google Pilates near me right now,
Yes.
there'll be all those little lollipops will drop down into the map. And you
Yes.
know that there's a percentage of those lollipops that provide safe, effective, quality product, quality service, quality thing, and there's some that don't, or
Yeah.
it's different.
Hmm. The
And
motivation.
therefore the public, which now knows that Pilates is exercise and it's pretty cool and lots of people do it, um, also has significant misunderstanding about what this is about. And the key to this is gonna to make this, from my perspective, to make this long lasting, is going to be to make sure that that 10 or 20% of people who really do understand have a platform to talk about it. Balanced body is certainly part of it. But
Yes.
when I went to the last big fitness convention that I went to was FIBO in Germany this year. Balanced Body 20 years ago was the only Pilates company at the world's biggest fitness show. This is 15 halls the size of
Oh my
Moscone
God.
Center. That's
Yeah.
just huge. And we would have, one stand with a distributor out in the back. And maybe there were two other companies that might have had a reformer in their booth, but they didn't really know what was going on. They had a hall dedicated to Pilates this year.
Oh my goodness.
25 companies,
Oh,
25 Pilates companies.
I mean, I think I remember when there were four, maybe five.
Well, there were always a number of garage manufacturers and international people and stuff, and I was at one time in charge of like tracking all the Pilates companies. And as the companies went out of business, I would change their font color from black to red, and any spreadsheet I had would have half of it was red. There are hundreds of companies out there, and some aren't really even companies. They're just bag and go kind of things. But they had a dedicated hall at FIBO of Pilates companies from all over the world with the widest possibility of interpretations of what this equipment is.
Yes.
And and they're out there.
Mm-hmm.
And with the success of it took a long time for it to happen, but the franchise model, um, there's 100 franchises, 100 different franchises out there,
Yes.
where there was one or two. With we used to consider a strong studio if they had two or three locations.
Okay. Yes.
That and just like running restaurants, I came out of the food business before I got involved with fitness. It's one thing to run one place really well, but to run two or three, it's hard. It's
Yes.
to maintain quality and all the stuff that you need to do. And so the franchise model, which was inevitable to happen, but it had a very fits and start beginning. There were franchises in Spain and Italy that went out of business
Okay.
because they couldn't provide enough, essentially IP,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also the marketing and financial tools and all the other stuff. And they're trying to sell something to a public that doesn't really know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the Kovatech studios had 3 to 5 reformers in them.
Mm-hmm.
And they ended up with, I think, close to 90 studios in Italy. But then, the Kovas got divorced and kind of fell apart.
Kind of fell
Now,
apart.
but
Yeah.
that's the challenge, I think, now, is that as this tsunami of awareness of Pilates is on us, as that passes, because inevitably this market won't look the same in 5 or 10 years.
Ooh,
I mean,
that will be interesting.
well, it's going to be people who are dedicated to it and
Yes.
make sure that they deliver what they have to listen to your customers,
Yes.
and you have to evolve. I mean, the whole ROI thing, although it was very much directed at the fitness market, was also directed at the studio market, because we could see what would happen if a studio that had a traditional suite of equipment put in 4 more reformers and put it in a separate room and marketed it differently.
Yeah.
You've always got the personal training,
Yeah.
but in any market, only 2% of the market is willing to pay for highly specialized and more expensive services.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you have the pyramid was always, personal training, Pilates at the top and mat at the bottom. There's this big middle section that feeds from both, that feeds from privates and it feeds from mat. And that was the power of, that's really where it all came from, what you're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Yeah, it's a phenomenon, to leverage these two studios where you have the person that walks in the door, you have to assess where they're at. And if they mention 2 or 3 injuries up front, let's go to the private room and have a talk. I'd love to show you the private equipment. This is where we're going to be working first. We'll start you with a 3-pack. We're going to need to do that until we rule out your back. If your back feels better because of Pilates, you can take our classes here. So you almost have to become cutthroat hardcore business. You become a high performance Pilates trainer is what happens. That's what happened to me. I became like ice queen. I'm really good in the studio. I could teach a lot of hours. I taught a lot of classes. I still teach a lot of privates. And you become an automation for the system to work. And you're the human.
yeah, but I remember meetings, passionate meetings with people like Elizabeth and
Yes.
you and Brent and others who had the model at that time was kind of what you just described. You buy a 3-pack, it's going to cost you a couple $100.
Yeah.
It'll be privates. And that was a great way to assess and sell
Yes.
people on what was going on. But it was also a barrier to entry.
You're right.
You can walk into a franchise operation now and get a free class without any assessment whatsoever.
Yeah.
And whether that's safe or not is another question.
Right.
But the door is open. It's easy to walk into. And there are
Yes.
men's classes and there's couples classes and there's so that adaptation, listening to your customers, sitting down. This is something I talked about for years.
Yes.
That at the end of one of your classes, you take somebody aside as they're getting ready to walk out and say, can we talk for a few minutes? Have a glass of wine and listen to them, interview them critically without being defensive.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 things will happen. First, you may hear something that you didn't know. That machine in the upper left corner, late in the afternoon, the sun's blasting through the windows and I can't see,
Mm-hmm.
or the music's too loud, or the instructor doesn't speak slowly enough, or I wish there was a class that fit this need, whatever it might be. And you're taking notes. You're
Mm-hmm.
not defensive. You're saying, that's a great idea. Let me think about that. Nobody does this. And it does 2 things. One, you're going to hear things that you didn't hear. If you can make it casual and non-defensive. And that's going to give you ideas that's going to let you into what a customer's thinking. And secondly, it gives the customer a sense that a client, a sense that they're connected to the success of their little partnership with you.
Yes.
Nobody does those exit interviews. That should be done by everybody.
Yes.
And those kinds of things, listening to what people are doing and being willing to adapt is going to be what keeps Pilates going in the future.
That's an incredible philosophy. And I believe I heard a podcast with you recently. I was looking, and you had really mentioned that this listening component and then being able to adapt even equipment for balanced body just by this philosophy that you have embodied. And so this is wonderful because for me, I can embody this and I can put this into practice and it will help, make my career more relevant to the way it is now through these franchises, like you said, the easy entry, the easier access, and just being able to get people on the tables. I mean, they were built for people to lay back on and get an incredible workout. And, so yeah, there's so much to be gained.
Yeah. It just reminded me that there used to be prerequisites of mat, let alone assessments and privates. You used to have to do mat classes for a while before they allowed you on a reformer.
On a reformer, I do remember that.
Yeah, I mean, so the whole thing has changed around a bit, but
Yes.
I think that for this conversation for the Pilates business to be successful
Yes.
in the future, this willingness to really listen carefully
Mm-hmm.
to our clients, and our clients are going to be a broader market than what, especially the fitness group performer stuff. So you know what I'm talking about, but
Yes.
those machines that look kind of like reformers, but that ain't got nothing to do with Pilates.
Yeah.
that's the same market that was doing TRX. Those
Okay.
are youthful, energetic, relatively healthy, physically healthy people that only represent a small percentage of what this Pilates market's going to be long term.
Yes.
So recognizing that when one of those fitness places opens up down the road, you offer a different product, and
Yes.
defining that and making sure that they know it's out there is really important too.
That's so important. And then really listening and taking in the information, like so that they see that it is implemented. So when they come in, they're like, wow, she really, because that will go into multiple directions. They'll tell their friends about, well, you might not want to go to these other four, but you want to go to this one.
Well,
Uh,
and again on that whole listening thing, not being defensive, that's really
yeah,
hard
yeah,
because you have that space that you're in,
yeah,
you put your heart and soul into making that what it is. And there's a
yeah,
good reason for basically everything that it's in there, or there's a reason. Whether it's good or not is another question. But and it's really easy to get defensive when someone said, your burger's too small.
yeah,
I'm like, well, the cost of the meat, ROI, blah, blah, blah. And they go, oh, okay, that's interesting. Maybe I should make a double out of that one and smush it a
yeah.
little bit. Put some
So
cheese on there. All of a sudden, you got a double smash burger, and that sounds pretty good to me.
yeah, so being like more graceful and humility and just more working with the people aspect of it. And that's kind of what I'm trying to, starting to drive is that even though I'm in the people business, the Pilates business, it's being more receptive to hearing them, not just being their personal trainer and asserting Pilates onto them as a transaction. What I'm feeling is you're more like, okay, this is a person, and this person is being onboarded to, and for me, I would just call it like, I want to onboard not only a member, but I want them to become a lifestyle wellness customer. Means as long as I'm in the business and you're working with me, we're working together. You're not gonna, it's that loyalty. And it does have to do with retention, but it really still maintains that, like you were saying, the healer, the artist, the teacher, that warmth, that people can return to and not get thrown off balance by any situations that could arise. Um, so yeah, that's very, very nice. And it'll be able to go deep within me because it came from you and you're a concentration of it all, and
Still can't do the 100 to save my life, but
I can get that. No, I've simplified it for people, um, to where they just focus on 10 exhales because the inhale is going to happen and then I just need them to exhale 10 times. Anyway, the point there is once they get it and they figure it out and they're stabilized, I'm like, you guys ready to do the real thing now? I kind of have these little ways of delivering it so that the general public can enjoy it up front. And then I'm like, you ready for the workout?
well,
Let's,
we started this thing by talking about the Allegro
yes,
and, watching, being part of its evolution. I think we're now into let alone the 100 different incremental tool improvements in what the materials and build is and stuff like that, and the Allegro 2, which is
yes,
another story.
yes.
Um, uh, I don't want to even guess, but my thinking is that there's probably close to 100,000 Allegros out there.
Amazing. That's an incredible fact.
Yeah, and it could be. I want to be careful with my numbers. I haven't been around BB for a while, so it's hard to remember.
Do I
But
remember a conversation where I might have remembered a conversation, and these were the things I wanted to recall with you. Um, the studio reformer is the furniture, it's the wood build. At that time it was hand built. And then the Allegro was the metal, it's like the same dimension of a studio reformer, but it was done in this metal, and that you still have the same workout, but it was done so that it could be stacked and wheelbarrowed around and put out on a showroom, no, put out on a exercise studio like this one, where you just clear the floor. Uh,
And the whole concept behind stackability, vertical storage, portability was the fact that in fitness spaces, we didn't get dedicated space. We
mhm.
were clumped in. It wasn't until people like you started demanding and when the ROI started to actually take hold.
That's right.
But the original machines were going into the one or two group exercise rooms, and they had to be moved because you had jazzercise classes going on the rest of the time and step and stuff like that. So that was part of that, the
Yeah.
portability and stuff. So, and that stayed. I would say that 90% of Allegros are never moved,
Yeah.
but we still show people walking around with them and stuff like that.
It's the
But
best.
that was part of the origin story, was that
Yeah.
the the studio reformer arguably is easier to move in some ways, um, but nobody moved them. So this whole idea that you would use this in a flex space until you made a real understanding of this is the most valuable space in the club, but that was sort of part of that too. And we put wheels on the combo chair.
Yeah.
There was talk about putting wheels on trap tables and barrels at one point.
For mobility. Because that to me, again, it's the depth of innovation and you guys thinking of every last detail and succeeding in a very short period of time and creating a program that allowed it to hit the ground rolling as opposed to running, hit the ground rolling, and we're able to maneuver it around, put it, into the world, planted it in the club industry, and then it seemed to just go into the public domain. I remember there was a period of time where it was mostly club because from what I recall, they could afford the budget. They had the budget to be able to buy the volume discounts and start using the club membership to prove the concept. So there was just this whole time period where it was just thrilling because it was as it was predicted it would be. It happened, it manifested, and then it could become all of these multitudes of different variations or iterations of it. And I'm fascinated by the story. I live and breathe the story. Don't know why the mystery of when you get kind of tapped on the shoulder by the Pilates energy that says you will carry this work. And so that's something I have accepted. I'm choking a little bit my emotions, but I mean, halfway through life, I'm more than halfway through life. And I want to make sure that I'm dedicated as I was to teaching, to delivering the message of what Pilates is from the originators, you, and definitely Ken. But I think for you, the opportunity, it was so nice to get to see you. And I was like, I just need to be brave and I just need to ask Dave if he would be willing to meet with me on a Zoom call so we can capture this story. And to me, I mean, I'm happy getting to do this. I would say whether or not it actually goes out into the domain, it will if I have your permission to put it out into the social media.
Go for it.
Okay, great. I'm happy on my own because I get to replay this with you. And
Well,
um,
I was Dave at Pilates.com for a quarter century,
yeah.
and I missed that. So, anything to kind of remind me and remind others that there was a long road to get to where we are with really dedicated, really talented, really passionate people. It
Yes.
brought us to where we are right now. And
Yeah.
I'm happy to get a little bit of a flashlight shine on me, but really there was so many others that had so much more to do with this. And my role was really just getting out there, talking to customers, bringing information back, giving it to the team at Balanced Body, led by Ken, who
Yes.
would make those changes and modifications and bring in new equipment and try new things. And that was always the biggest difference. I mean, back when there were just a handful of Pilates companies.
Mhm.
What made us different was that we weren't Pilates people.
Mm.
The other companies were founded by or guided by or run by Pilates people, and they had very clear, definitive concepts of what their Pilates was. Nothing wrong with that,
Right.
but their willingness to listen to their customers
Mhm.
was limited or shut off.
Yeah.
But Ken would, someone would come in and say, well, risers are a good idea, or different resistance springs are a good idea, or adjustable shoulder rests, or split pedal chairs, or
Yes.
sliders on the gym. There are 100 things that are that are out there in the Pilates in Pilates equipment today
Yes.
that Ken was willing to listen to customers and put it into play.
Abs-
So the big difference between all those other companies and BB is that we were the only ones who were really willing to listen to
It's
what you
true.
guys wanted and just build really cool tools. And by saying not we're not Pilates people, we just didn't have we weren't tied to a specific philosophy. We wanted to build stuff that everybody would use. And
Yes.
one cool recent story to that is Ken's longtime desire to be playing in, accepted by the classical Pilates world.
Yes.
So, for a variety of different reasons, location, philosophy, innovation, the lawsuit, other stuff, there's classical people who, whether it was real or not, believed in a certain part, the way equipment should be. And our attempts of building studio reformers with leather straps was sort of the beginning, and then the Fletcher reformer, and then the whole legacy project with Power Pilates,
Yeah.
and a series, the Centerline project with the girls from Boulder. These were all attempts to open the door, put a welcome mat out to this uh, classical traditional world. And his vision and passion for that market led to the Contrology project.
That is so.
And to suggest that that there was, that everybody was on board with that thing during its very, very long gestation period, where Kenny was totally distracted with that while everything else is going on in this world. This is like his thing,
Yeah.
and it's again sort of another thing that where he led the world in this. He said, we're gonna build something that this market wants, and skepticism abounded around BB, but that's been highly successful, the whole Contrology thing.
Yes.
And it's as good a story. It's not as big as the Allegro or whatever it might be, but it's a similar kind of situation of him knowing that market needed a more reliable company behind a machine, that a reformer that matched their needs.
Yes.
And that's a good story. That's a good story too. And he continues to do this.
And he continues on the Contrology path with the traditional teachers. I would always have my head down at work, and then I'd come up and I'd be like, what's going on? And then I saw, you guys are so good about sending out these emails and keeping us abreast of what is happening as soon as it's happening. Contrology, Ken Endelman, Jay Grimes. I'm like, I'm going. Where are they? Where are they going to be? I'm there. So I got my ticket. I went to Redondo Beach. I got to go be present at one of the Contrology release, at one of the beautiful studios there, with Ken talking and with Jay Grimes teaching. I was in heaven. I'm just like, here he is doing the work for the entire industry and merging the old school riff, which didn't need to be there, but it was, and all that contention or whatnot. It was completely healed. Like he healed that riff and went even further to develop the equipment. And and then to, like you said, have a welcome mat so that the traditional teachers would be able to walk in and say, wow, balanced body is incredible. And yes, they are. They always have been. And
Well,
just,
it's Ken building a good team and
yes,
empowering that team to do the right stuff
that's incredible.
is a big part of it. You know, and Kenny's my age. I think he's going to be doing this till he's 100 years old.
Right.
But you know, he's built a company and a team. He's got his kids involved now.
Yes.
So you know, I think this is going to outlive all of us. It will. I shouldn't say I think it will outlive all of us. But
Yes.
it's gonna be really interesting to see what happens. Fitness is traditionally kind of fickle
Yes.
and trend oriented. And you know, as you know, there are lots of people out there who think Pilates was just invented in the last 5 or 10 years. They have no idea that it's been going around for over 100 years.
Wow.
And figuring out ways to keep that momentum going, or at least keep the concepts going, is going to be a real challenge for people in the future because this will change.
Yes.
I'm not sure how long the tsunami is going to keep going, but
Yes.
you know, at some point there's going to be turnover, and
Yes.
whether it's because people age out or they get bored or they're the financial model or there's some international financial crisis or who knows what.
Yes.
But the market is dynamic and it's not going to be the same in a few years. Certainly none of us, despite all our wishes
Yeah.
of thinking that this would be really cool to have a Pilates studio in every shopping center in the United States,
Right.
um, or in the world.
And the world. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
The global market.
I could go to LA
Yes.
and in 2 days visit every Pilates studio.
Yes. You'd have to be there for 2 days.
You could cover Beverly Hills in the morning,
Yes.
West LA in the afternoon, get out to the beach the next day,
Yes. And the thing about it
and
is,
the Bay Area too. You know,
yes.
there just weren't that many,
Yeah.
and it's completely different now.
Completely different. What I'm,
And we're responsible. We're to blame. We can take
yes, you
credit.
can
We
take
can
the
take
blame. You can
credit.
take the blame. I feel like the seed of the excitement is what gets played out inside of these studios. They're replaying the whole thing, the timeline of it. And so they're like in each phase that you guys developed. And then they're like, oh my gosh, we reached critical. We're going vertical. Let's go. Like it's happening. We're getting equity partners. We're going to get multiple locations. Let's go. We're going to get 75 in 3 years. And I'm speaking with for a place that I work for now because I'm an employee that I became a Pilates teacher for another company for multiple reasons. One, I lost my studio, which was sad, but I kept a lot of my clients and they were able to come with me. Two, gainful employment because the pandemic was a big hardship. Three, at the tender age of midlife, halfway through, I do qualify to live in a retirement community, let's just say, and I live in a retirement community. And I don't want to have my career ended because of a pandemic or because I'm told that I'm too, aged out or not relevant. Because there is the ageism thing, and I'm cool with that. I'm not worried about ageism. I'm just like, I'm not leaving my industry. This is my industry. And so I've staked my claim in the industry and I maintained relevance by getting a job at one of the most vertical growing non-franchise privately owned boutique reformer studios for private lessons. And so I work for that company. I've been there for about 4 or 5 years and I'm just watching them go through every one of these phases and they're like, boom, now we're going in all these directions in California, 75 locations in 3 years. And so I feel like they're on the same template, like the business model that you guys did. They plant that template and then they go through those phases and boom, they all become, and I'm amazed by it. I'm fascinated by it. And
And still tons of opportunity. And
Yeah.
here's two little insights from my perspective anyway. I used to try to figure out I used to try to prove to Pilates people when someone would get crazy about a studio opening up across town or down the street, I'd go through a very simple numeric exercise. I go, in your community, how many people are there?
Yeah.
100,000. In your community, how many people make a living from teaching Pilates? And it would be, there's 5 people. And I'd say,
Yeah.
okay, great, let's double that. Let's say there's 10. And let's say that to teach Pilates, to be successful in Pilates, you need 50 clients, active clients who are coming regularly. Let's double that. So all of a sudden you have this number of, you got 100, you have 100 instructors and whatever the number is. It always came out to that that number of clients who were supporting the Pilates business was under 1% of the population. Under 1%.
My goodness.
Which is the same. I mean, you could, there's 5 studios in town and they have 1,000 clients. That's 1% of the population. And that means that 99% of the people aren't buying your stuff. And 1% is the same percentage of people who are buying Ferraris and Rolexes.
Wow.
It's just a little teeny thing. And in that room behind you, how many people are not women between the ages of 30 and 65?
Mm-hmm.
That 90% of your customers are into that marketplace, which means that there's huge potential. And it's the same right now. I mean, I think that the fitness Pilates market has done one good thing, which is broaden the market out. They
Yes.
put more men in. They're still in that narrow age range. You're not going to see old guys in there. But to me, that still remains a huge part of the potential. You're never going to get more than a certain 5 or 8% or whatever it might be to be engaged with the market. But there's still a huge potential. And that's that listening thing I was talking about.
Yes.
Of if you've got a guy who's coming to one of your classes, you should be talking to him and find out why it is that he's coming and how to reach more of those people.
Yes.
Because it stuns me. I love it when an old guy my age comes up and says, "I finally doing Pilates. You've been talking about it for decades. I'm finally doing it. It's great. Why didn't you tell me about this before?" So there's still lots of potential. Talk to your customers. Let me know if I can help you out with anything else. I'll send you Wendy Heaton's contact info.
Thank you. I so appreciate that.
And her partner is Paul Hughes. They own a vineyard out in Clarksburg.
Okay.
Cool people.
Cool people.
Man, talking to them is important in the big story of this stuff.
Okay. I think that could be just phenomenal. I would learn volumes and just that we have social media and we have Zoom and we can post across all platforms, and just, the people who really want to know will know, and just that warm, incredible energy that it all started with. I started coming to El Dorado Hills about 2015, wanting to build a studio, and you guys took me on a tour.
I love it.
Yeah, you guys took me on a tour, and I was so happy. I mean, you guys are a touch point. Like, it wouldn't have happened. My Pilates career was not going to happen without everything you guys did. It was just in my head. You know what I mean? Pilates was just in my head. It wasn't going to go anywhere without equipment, the training. I sought out comprehensive education, and you guys turned me on to Polestar. Like, that's how that happened, And then I
Well,
moved.
back to yet another core principle.
Yeah.
Kenny's thing was, I mean, we get excited about bigger deals or, more potential, but it was always building those reformers one at a time,
Yeah.
customers like you.
Yeah.
And supporting you, making you feel as important as anybody else. And that's core to it all. All comes from Kenny.
That's incredible. I'll make sure to reach out to him. I wanted to make sure, uh, I was raised with my younger sister, and we were always Karen and Jenny. And then in life, I needed to be Janette and let her be Karen. So for me, I wanted to make sure you're Dave in the Dave and Ken connection, that you guys are inseparable for life. But I wanted to make sure I could feature you and get to talk about this Allegro, because I think you communicated the Allegro program to me more. Like, I remember hearing your voice. Maybe it was the showroom floor when you're talking to multiple people, and I'm hearing about it, learning about it, and then of course getting to work out on it, etc. I did learn a lot from you. So the materials you guys produced, the business model, I followed it, to a T, and then I've been enjoying watching it just level, across the franchise and just hit the franchise industry. It's like, holy moly, it's big. You went big. You went all the way. You left a legacy of for the entire globe. It's unlimited.
Thanks. I appreciate your thoughts. I really do. And I'm just thrilled to see that, someone stuck with us for all that time and still feels good about us. It's always good to hear.
Yeah, no, you know, I know I'm not using my proper words, but I mean, if I could have spent more time, I would have. You go in life and you just get into life and you just do it. But all of this was the foundation, the soil. It, grew me to become a professional Pilates teacher that I can now influence other teachers if they're interested to learn how to, really take their career in their own control and become more entrepreneurial again. Because what I'm seeing is the dependency of people on their employment. And I'm seeing how the studios are running the teachers, and the teachers are getting burnt out and all that. It's not a judgment. They take the passion and they're leveraging it, but the studios are doing better and the teachers are kind of like, I don't know how long I could do this. And I'm like, listen, I want you to be able to do it enduringly. I don't want you to burn out. I want you to do this a long, long time. So if, anyway, more advocacy for teachers, professional development. That's the direction I think I'll be able to go better than if I were to try to become a teacher trainer. I mean, even though I could do a teacher, I've written a beautiful course. It's a mastermind for the boutique fitness economy, and I've got it all up online. I haven't released it. I've been sitting on it for years. So I am holding myself accountable, and I'm coming out into the general public against my own objections. And I'm coming to run the studio against the fact that I didn't want to start over after I lost a studio. So I'm trying to heal myself and try to influence. But again, I wouldn't have this opportunity unless you had allowed us to meet. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for your attention to it and awareness of it.
Yeah.
Hey, really nice to talk with you.
Oh, nice to talk with
If
you.
you have any other questions or anything else I can ever provide, I'm happy to do it.
Okay.
My links with Balanced Body are thin now, but we're still on real good terms. And
Yes.
The cool thing about this for me is I have friends all over the world. I went out to dinner last night with somebody who said, "How did you mix your personal life with your business life? And you got to keep them separate." And I'm like, I don't know. I think I had the luckiest guy in the world to have a job that got me connected with so many really cool people.
Really cool people. Yeah, it's
And
true.
my wife and I are going on our first international trip in a couple of weeks, a week.
Amazing. Yeah.
Um, and there's probably 100 places on our wish list of places that we want to go.
Yeah.
But way at the top of that list are people we want to see.
Yes.
So despite the fact that I've got nothing to do with the industry anymore, we're going to see dozens of our friends
Yes.
as we poke around in Europe for a couple of weeks. And it's always like, that's going to take priority. You want to go see the Eiffel Tower, or you want to go visit somebody over the other side of town who we're good friends with.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I can take away from this.
Nice.
Great to see you. I'll
Great
send you Wendy and Paul's information. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you so much, Dave. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you so much, and
Thanks.
that we got to meet.
Good to see you. Come on up and play in the mountains anytime.
Okay, that sounds like a great plan. We'll talk to you soon. Okay,
Take care.
bye.
Bye bye.